Welcome to today's practice. This is going to be a short, simple practice exploring the hips and the low back. Even though it's simple, it's going to be connected with breath, hopefully done mindfully, and really listening to the response in the body to make sure we're getting a positive reaction in the tissues, the joints, the muscles. So you might need some props at the end of the class, so either a book or a block. So if you need to hit pause and go and find something for the end of practice, and then come back. We're going to start lying on our back. So we're going to have feet on the earth, knees bent. So knees to the sky, roll the spine down. We want to have the spine long. Tuck the chin a little bit, maybe even pop your hands underneath the base of the skull. Widen across the front of the collarbone, so across the front body, laying the shoulder blades down as flat as you can, not striving, just sort of allowing it to happen. And feel the interaction of front body softening and a little bit of a deepening grounding of the back body, shoulder blades onto the earth. Then feel the pelvis, so the ring of bones at the base of the spine. Let that be heavy, so a release sort of below the navel, hip creases. And then feel the feet hip width apart or wherever is comfortable. Feel the base of the big toe, little toe heel, and just let them rest easy on the earth. And then come to the low back, a little bit of a pelvic tilt. So on an exhale, you're going to curl your tailbone up, push gently the low back into the earth, belly button to spine. Inhale, arching, tailbone curls down. So it's tilting the pelvis backwards, posteriorly, and then upwards and arching. So we get some awareness through the low back tissues. Joints, vertebra, muscles, fascia. And then let's bring our hands, come to stillness in the middle, so not pressing down, not lifting up, neutral spine, and bring our hands onto the lower ribs, so the heel of the hand sort of on the side seam of the body, resting very gently, and take 3 breaths there. And these breaths are low and slow, so on an inhale, as softly as you can, getting the breath to the bottom of the ribs, and on an exhale, letting that breath leave. So inhale will expand, not deep gripping, just soft, low, slow. Exhale. One more time. Then we're going to gather the knees into the chest, thighs to the belly, roll from side to side. So we're awakening, or you can sense and feel the low back onto your mat as you go side to side. Then pause, bring the knees pretty much over the hips, one hand on top of each knee, right knee, left knee. Figure 8, so this is more into the hip joint. So 3 circles away from each other, so making that figure 8 symbol 3 times one way, 3 times the other way, and this is mostly moving through the hip joint, the ball and socket joint there. Let the soles of the feet come down, pelvic tilt again, so curling the tailbone up, pressing the back into the mat, arching, curling the tailbone down. Couple of times there, and then just come to that neutral spine. And start to waken up the back body, right leg first of all. So gathering the right leg in, and your hands are going to come behind the thigh. And on an exhale, you're going to gather the right knee in towards your chest. Inhale, reach the sole of the foot to the sky. And I'm supporting the leg with my hands, so we're getting more range of motion, reaching up through the heel. Exhale, and remember your length of breath. Inhale. So on the third one, we pause. And just listen to what's happening in your body here. You're pressing from the sit bone up, out through the heel on the in-breath, and then softening. If you feel a lot of resistance from in the back body, from the sit bone to the heel, soften a little bit. You want to be able to breathe here. So the breath is that low, slow, nice and easy. If you're holding breath, you're too deep. If you feel the body resisting, you're too deep. So really see if you can tune into the response of the body. Let's take one more in-breath, out-breath here. And then when you're ready, release, bring that leg down. Pelvic tilt again, just one time. Take a breath, slide the right leg long. Couple of breaths there just to integrate that opening. Back to our starting position and taking the sequence to the left side. So reaching up the heel on the in-breath, out-breath, hugging in. Listening for the response in the body, lengthening sit bone to heel. We'll pause at the next, supporting still with the hands, so thinking more range of motion. Still active, reaching out through the heel. Listen to your breath, listen to the shoulders, listen to the response of the back body on the left leg. If there's a little bit of a letting go, just softly take your toes towards the top of the mat. Let's take a couple more breaths here, give it a little bit of time. And then when you're ready, bend the knee, let the foot come down onto the earth. This time let's do a windshield wiper, taking the knees from side to side. And pause in the center and just let the body rest on the mat. Sometimes you need to lift up your hips, the pelvis a little bit and just reset. So now we're going to move to the tissues on the inside of the thigh. So we'll bring the legs up and take our hands, the little finger will come over the top and loop into the crease of the knee. So keeping the left knee bent, we'll drop that out to the side, so there's an outward rotation of the thigh, and then we're going to start to straighten the right leg. So our target tissue is the inner thigh muscles, fascia, so pubic bone to knee. We want the navel, the belly button pointing to the sky. We're sort of grounding a little bit, or a little bit of weight through that left hand on the left inner thigh. A contract, relax technique. So on an exhale, lift the right leg up an inch or two. Inhale, drop it down. Exhale, lift, and you're sensing and feeling the contraction of the inner thigh. Inhale, and this is the key, softening, let it drop. And again, both these hands are just, I think of it as grounding, but they're just a little bit of weight, certainly not pressing down, supporting as you hug your hands around the inner upper thigh there. Then let's bend that right knee, bring the knees together, circle around, figure eight, whatever sort of releases for you through the hips. And then we'll take that to the other side. So taking the hands again over the top of the thighs, this time we'll have the right knee bent and we'll reach out through that left leg. And again, we don't want to be rolling over, so if you're rolling to one side, you're not getting the full benefit of the pose. So belly button to the sky, softening that sort of grounding effect of the right hand on the right inner thigh, reaching out through the left heel. And your choice if you want to do the contract, relax. So exhale, lift up an inch or two, feel inner thigh left muscles working. Inhale, feel and let go. Exhale, lift. Inhale, feel them let go. Continue to reach out through the heel. Make sure the breath is nice and soft. One more, inhale, exhale here. Then keeping the right knee where it is at, bend that left knee, and then just take a couple of breaths with both knees apart, and that very soft sensation through the inner thigh. Now close the legs on an exhale and support and help with the knees, and then rocking from side to side, or if it's the windshield wiper, whatever feels like it releases for your body. Then pause this pose before pose, coming into the knees to the sky, the feet on the earth, chin tucked, back of the heart resting on your mat. Then come to the outer thigh a little bit, so eye of the needle or figure 4, it's called often different things. Right ankle coming above left knee, and this is this outward rotation of the right thigh. So we want the knee, the right knee, to go to the right bottom corner of your mat. You don't want to press on the knee, but you might just roll the right thigh outwards. Again, we still want this navel, your belly button pointing to the sky. And this is a nice thing about being on the mat, on the floor. You've got lots of sensation from your low back. And when you're ready, gather the left thigh in. You can hold behind the thigh in front of the shin. Some people like cradle the baby grip around the right leg. If it's a struggle, popping a block underneath the left foot can work. Let's just take our left knee a little bit from side to side, and that will increase tension when you go one way, decrease tension. And then I want you to find what I would call your sweet spot. So not too much tension, you're still able to breathe. There's the potential for the right buttock, so that's our target tissue, to soften and release a little bit. Just feel, sense the breath. You might be a little opening, you might be able to hug in a little bit closer. Deeper isn't always better, it's the ability to soften and release. I'm going to let go, keep the leg crossed, left sole of the foot comes down to the earth. And then coming into a soft spinal twist, so the right sole of the foot to the earth, twisting over, so down that comes. Right arm comes out, right shoulder blade is on the earth. So we're nice twisting on this diagonal, which is where a lot of the fascia and the tissues run, so very nice to open through the torso on the diagonal. Engage the belly to come back to center. Uncross the legs, windshield wiper. Pose before pose, feet hip width apart, and set up for the other side. So ankle, left ankle above right knee, allow the thigh to open, so slow it down. This is the mindful part, where am I moving? And then when you're ready, gather in that right thigh this time, towards the belly, right knee towards the chest. Sense and feel where you feel it in that left buttock. Right knee side to side. So again, this little bit of exploring and really feeling what you feel. Find Goldilocks, meaning not too deep where the body's resisting, not too soft, just right where we're able to put a little bit of tension through the tissues to get a change. But the body has that ability to let go. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Again, check in. Are you soft through the upper body? Is the breath easy? keeping the legs crossed, allow the right foot to come down, and then we're going to come into the twist, so the left sole of the foot comes down onto the floor, opposite, or sort of for the diagonal, so the left shoulder blade is grounded, and that gentle opening through the left side of the body, thigh. Engage the belly, come back to center, mindfully uncross the leg. Rotate through the hips and the low back with your windshield wiper, and then again pause. Let's waken up the belly a little bit, so it's part of the low back system. So let's bring soles of the feet to the sky, holding behind the thighs, so just giving it a little bit of support. Press the soles of the feet up to the sky, and then soften the knees. One more time, and soften. Now we come into the belly, this part I was talking about. So taking your hands away starts to increase, and automatically it'll happen in your body. And so we're just going to start to trace a circle of the soles of the feet in the sky. Slow, small. If you're going too big, your back might arch up off the mat, and that's telling you you've gone too far. You might even take your arms up overhead. That might challenge your belly muscles a little bit more. Let's take our 5 circles back in the other direction. One more. And then hug in. Really just let the belly muscles go. Roll a little bit from side to side. And then we're going to come and work a little bit on an active twist. So knees come out a little bit, so almost stacking over the hips. Shins somewhat parallel to the earth. Arms come out again in that T position, and on an exhale, you're going to, on an inhale, you're going to drop your knees down to the left. Now it's like you're putting the brakes on. Exhale, pull it back to center, and go from side to side, and it's not letting the body weight just flop down. You're controlling, you're slowing it down. It's called an eccentric contraction. So you work dropping or controlling the legs coming down, and you work pulling back. And think more about how can I control rather than how far I can go. We're going to pause at the left for a couple of breaths. So I'm holding here, left knee to the knees to the left, right shoulder blade really grounded. If that's lifting up, you've gone too far. Couple of breaths to the right, so this time it'll be the left shoulder blade that you're bringing your awareness to. And so this is that mindfulness, this is that listening to the response in the body. Back to center on an exhale, soles of the feet down, windshield wiper. Pause. Let's just slide our legs long, hands resting, palms down on the belly, eyes could be closed, and just feel the imprint of the back body on the earth. Couple of breaths there. And bring those legs in again. And we're going to come and awaken up the back body a little bit, sort of working a little bit on control through the pelvis area here. So bridge pose, heels fairly close to the sit bone. And as you press down through the feet, you're going to take your knees, or visualize pressing your knees to the bottom of your mat, so away from your head. So as you press down, lift the pelvis up, press the knees away from the head, bottom of your mat. You can lift up into a back bend if you choose for a breath, and then come down into what I would call neutral spine. So more of a straight line from the shoulder to the knee. You can see I've got my thumbs on the lower ribs, my fingertips on the top of the pelvis here, and they're going to help me a little bit as I lift up the right heel, lift up the right foot. That might be your shape, or you might choose to take the sole of the right foot to the sky. Now you're looking to keep the pelvis level in space, not dropping down. So this is where these hands are helpful. Bend that right knee, sole of the foot to the earth. Allow the pelvis to come down, pelvic tilt backwards, so belly button to spine, spine to earth, arch, neutral, bridge again. So think about rooting down through the feet, press the knees to the front, to the bottom of your mat, monitoring with your hands. Lift the left heel, lift the left leg. So you might feel it in the right buttock here, the right glute. And then if you choose, take the sole of the foot to the sky. Don't let the pelvis drop. So you can see I'm rolling around here. That's not what we want. We want the stability through the pelvis. This is where the hands help. Bend that knee, foot to earth, pelvis down. This time gather those knees into the chest, rock and roll from side to side. And then again, taking the legs long, hands resting on the belly, chin tucked a little bit, just pause for a breath or two. And then we're going to make our way into our final pose, and this is where you may require the book or your block. Now some spines don't particularly like back bends, so I'll give you an alternate here. So we're going to start with resting bridge. So our starting position, knees to sky, feet on the earth, and we're going to slide that book or block underneath the pelvis. So below the low back, above the tailbone, sort of around below the dimples there. And just pause and let the weight, the gravity of the pelvic ring rest on the block. And then let's just slide the right leg long, and this might not be in line with the torso. You might take it out to the side a little bit. The shape of the pelvis, we're often on a little bit of a diagonal, so we might be going for a star shape. If that feels okay, slide the left leg long. So now we're in a supported back bend. Now again, if this is not happy in your body, do the alternate pose, which is legs up the wall, and I'll show you that in a minute, or resting bridge, which is a lovely pose in itself. So if this feels good, the supported back bend, the opening through the front body, you might even layer arms up over the head so we get the opening of the front line of the body. Choose your shape. Now the alternate that I've been talking about is legs up the wall. So the spine is more in a flexed position, and you're resting the pelvis on the book, the block. I like to hold on to the book. Some people like to have their hands out just resting, some on the belly. Even a little bit of a seaweed going from side to side. So like your seaweed on the ocean floor, and you're just very gently being taken by the water, the flow. You might pause for stillness if you've got your legs up the wall here. And then whichever shape you're in, return to your resting bridge. So, sliding one leg in at a time. Let's take a breath with the pelvis resting on the block or the book. Then when you're ready, Lift the pelvis up, lift the hips up, slide the book out. And you can stay in this constructive rest position, knees to sky, feet on the earth, or you could choose to take your legs long. Hands resting on the low belly, palms down, or beside you, palms up. And then just take 3 breaths, that low and slow breath I was talking about. But at the same time, if you choose, you might scan your body. If there's anywhere that feels there's resistance, see if you can softly take the breath there. And then bring one palm down onto the heart, the other palm on top of that, so both hands on the heart. And take in a breath of gratitude. And then move into the rest of your day with joy and with peace. Namaste. You can choose to stay in Shavasana as long as you wish. Thank you for joining me in practice.